Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Adult Education and Workforce Development Statewide webinar for September 11th, 2019. I am Jerry Hafner, and with me this morning is the entire Adult Education team. Let's begin this morning with a touching story from Northwest Indiana. A single mother of two living in government housing, her name Heather West, was struggling. Left on her own to care for her two children, as you see in the picture there, after their father's incarceration, she grew very, very tired of the struggle. I was sick of struggling and living off government assistance, she said. 7 years is long enough. It's time for a change. She knew that in order to provide a better life for herself and her children, she would need to get her high school equivalency. After beginning classes at A.K. Smith Area Adult Education Center's Adult Education Program, which is in Michigan City, she began to see more for her future beyond earning her HSC. I've always struggled with learning problems and have always doubted myself, she said. But now I have the confidence to continue my education. The best part of the Michigan City Adult Education Program and CWI was passing my HSC on the very first try. It was also nice to have the support I need to go on to college. If it wasn't for this program, I couldn't have bettered myself or my children's lives. This program, Adult Education, helps so many mothers, fathers, children, and families. She said, so thank you for everything that you have done. What a neat story, and thank you to Michigan City for sharing that story about Heather. We've got a number of special guests on the webinar this morning. Let's first start with Elizabeth Chris Darby, and Colin Woods is also a colleague, and he's on the line as well. Elizabeth is the Gateway to Work Director with the Family and Social Services Administration. Gateway to Work is part of the Healthy Indiana plan that helps connect HIP members with job training, education, or helping find the right job or volunteer activity. Colin of Elizabeth, welcome.
I can't unmute myself. Obviously, it's not her job.
Elizabeth, Colin, could you unmute your phone and then we will be able to hear you? Elizabeth, Colin, we can't hear you. Are you on the line? We know that you're on the line. Okay, no? Well, we're going to fast forward some slides, and we know that the next slide and the next special guest that we have on the webinar this morning is our friends from MSD Warren Township. We have Natalie on the line, Natalie Reuter, and we appreciate her coming to us this morning to talk about 3 workforce projects. Warren Township has started workforce projects with KIM, Adidas, and Recycle Force classes on the east side of Indianapolis and in Greenfield. And Dan and I had the opportunity about a week ago to visit these classes. I can tell you it's kind of interesting. The Warren Township Adult Education Program has had a 3-year partnership with Recycle Force, of course, on the east side. And during our visits there, we enjoy talking to employers, teachers, and students about the benefits of having workplace classes on site. Good morning, Natalie.
Good morning, Jerry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, thank goodness.
Oh, good. We're having just a little bit of trouble hearing you guys, so please let me know if you can't hear me. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for giving us the opportunity today to share with you the lessons we've learned by offering our WEIs. We're so thankful that we have been able to implement these. And what I was hoping to communicate today was the 4 things that we believe have made the WEIs successful when we look at the ones we've had. We believe that communication, buy-in from all partners at all levels of the organization, the ability to evaluate and adjust, and having the right teacher. Those 4 things really are necessary, and to be able to have a WEI that's successful over a long period of time, because when you start one, all the work that goes into it, you want to make sure you're going to be able to continue it for years and years. So Jerry, if you could go to the next slide, that'd be great. The first WEI that we'd like to talk to you guys about is our partnership with KHEN. And this is an organization that we actually heard about from one of our fellow adult ed providers, Polly Redmond from Elwood. She made this wonderful contact, and she actually then passed on the information to us because the provider was not, the employer was not in her area. The thing about KHEN that makes them so incredibly special and such a great partner is that they have buy-in, to a point that we couldn't ask for more. Just so delighted. So today I have a special friend, Rob Ferris. He is director here at KHEN, and he actually is going to share some of the things that they've done to show their buy-in with the adult ed classes. And this really is why this class has been successful. So Rob, if you would like to share, that'd be wonderful.
Sure. So a lot of good things going on. We're in Greenfield, about 20 miles east of Indianapolis. Like most employers, we struggle to find. We use a couple of partner agencies, some contingent or temporary agencies, First Call and SMX, who have been true partners in this endeavor as well. But looking at what we can do to recruit and retain associates. Again, everybody's fighting for people to come work for them. So this fits with, we have what we call our 5 joys. One of those is joy to society, and one is joy to ourselves. So it fits our model of who we are as a company. So we want to serve the community. So we worked with Warren Central to start this initiative. We wanted to take away every excuse the associate had not to achieve or try to attain their SE. So we've provided a class space. We paid the associates some overtime, coming in early, staying late. We're paying for the HSE testing. We volunteered to shuttle them back and forth to the testing site. Whatever they need is what we want to provide. So it's good for them, first and foremost, but it's good for us, from a recruiting, retention, kind of setting us apart from other employers. So we continue to market that. Our partners, First Call and SMX staff, some posters come to us, so they have to all the people that are coming in, whether they play KN or other employers over Hancock County area, new hire orientation for this. We have small groups every quarter, so we still have. Can you still hear us?
You're breaking up a bit.
Phone call.
Can you hear us, Natalie?
Yeah, it doesn't look like there.
Give us 1 second.
This is Natalie and Rob. We're back on. Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Thank you.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure where we dropped off. But again, just introducing this HSC program. We do it at different staff meetings. We meet with all the team. There's about 650 associates here. On a quarterly basis, we continue to promote the program. We know we still have several associates that don't have their high school equivalency, so we want to continue to encourage that at all levels. So our corporate headquarters are in Anderson, Indiana, so we have support from them. This is something we want to model here and then take to our other plants. We have a plant in Muncie and Michigan and North Carolina. So we're excited with the partnership. We've seen good results. I know Natalie's been a little worried that, hey, we didn't have enough students, but we continue to market that. And I think right now we currently have 4 students that are going through the program. The instructors are phenomenal, very helpful, very patient. So, it's just been a great partnership. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Well, thank you, Rob, for sharing that. And as you guys can all tell, just by hearing Rob talk, they have so much buy-in and they're so dedicated to this initiative. And just the fact that our goals are aligned, that's one of the things that has really helped this class start up, become successful, and we're continuing to grow. If you could go to the next slide, Jerry, that would be great. Can you hear me, Jerry?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes, you're good.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. So if you could go to the next slide. The next partnership I wanted to talk about, I wanted to bring it back. So like I said, that first WEI is a great example of the company having generous amounts of buy-in. The next company that I wanted to talk about was Recycle Force and Keys to Work. This is a partnership we've had for 3 years, and this is a great example of the need to continuously evaluate and adjust programming. When we started this class, we started it as an IET, and we were working very closely with one individual. That individual left the company, and a new person came in. So at that point, we kind of evaluated what was going on, and we adjusted. And this type of process occurred over and over again. We moved locations after evaluating the workspace. We started in a conference room, then we moved to a break room, and then we decided we needed to go to an off-site space. And that evaluating and adjusting and that ability to be adaptable and flexible made the class successful. Another thing we had to adjust was we started with one teacher, and she was a fabulous teacher, but she wasn't the right fit for this specific class. So then we adjusted teachers. And again, just making this adjustment really allowed this class to be successful. So there were lots of adjustments we've made over time, and we continually evaluate what's going well, where are areas where we can make some adjustments so we can improve. That has been a key to making that class successful and continuous with our two workforce partners, RecycleForce and Keys to Work. The other piece that I definitely would strongly advocate for is communication. With these organizations, they've had some staff turnover. So whenever that occurs, we almost double our efforts in communication, because not only do we need to reinform the individual in charge of this partnership why it's so important for their staff and our community to continue this partnership, but we also we want to go through all the details so that everybody's on the same page. So another thing we do is the teacher and their point person, they're always communicating on a daily basis. But there's communication that goes all the way through both organizations, and we meet as a whole group and talk about, again, what's going well, how can we improve, and we've made lots of changes over time. But I think that's why we've been able to develop such a deep relationship and have a successful one for so long. So we're very proud of that partnership, and both of these partners, we couldn't ask for more. They're fully dedicated to student success. Another WEI that I would like to share with you guys is our Adidas partnership. So if you could go to the next slide, Jerry, that would be wonderful. With Adidas, this relationship started actually with our school system. They have a partnership with Adidas. So we were able to rely on that existing partnership with our school, and they made the contact for us so that we could start this class. In this class, I think the takeaway is that you have to have the right teacher for the class, because it takes a special teacher in order to be able to make a WEI thrive. So I have another special guest today, Deborah Graves. She is our teacher at Adidas, and I was just going to ask her a few questions and have her share with the group. So Debbie, could you share with the group, what is it that you believe makes a teacher a good fit to teach a WEI class?
Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you, Natalie. First and foremost, one of the things that I feel, for me, I realize that this is such an opportunity for us, for the community, for the school, and I never forget that I'm an invited guest. And this is their house, not my house. And I need to be adaptable to what the company wants. I need to be sensitive to their culture, to the way their company works. And each company has a personality. They have a different way of doing things, an environment to work within. Sometimes you are in a classroom, sometimes you're in a meeting room, sometimes you're in a small conference room. You have to be adaptable to your environment. The other thing is knowing the company goals, knowing what the company wants to get out of this particular class. What is their directive? And as Rob was saying earlier, and you, Natalie, too, the communication, knowing who to communicate with, who's your contact person, and then building that relationship with those people.
Thank you, Debbie. And just hearing Debbie talk, you can tell why she's such a wonderful WEI teacher. I mean, she's so conscientious and so aware that these WEIs are such important partnerships. You can see why she's just awesome. And then Debbie, one of the things I was hoping you could share is another thing that Adidas has, besides just having that right teacher, is they also have buy-in. And you shared with me recently one of the things that illustrates why they have so much buy-in. Could you share that with the group?
Well, previously they had sought after classes and made connection with Ivy Tech and were paying thousands of dollars for classes. And then once they found out that this program existed, that there was funding for classes and so forth, a scholarship, if you will, then they were so elated to know that adult education was providing this service. They then connected with, as you say, through the school and with us, and they offer their employees the 3 hours that they are in class based on their shift changes and so forth. They offer them the chance to make up those 3 hours. And so they're not losing their schedule, they're not losing their time. And you can just tell that they are a company that is, first and foremost, their most precious commodity are their people. And so they have festivities for them. They had a barbecue recently. Just an amazing company that wants to make sure that their employees are getting everything that they need to have a better life. And ESL in particular, which is what I teach, we have so many people who do not speak English well, and I think it's just awesome that this company thinks so much of their people to offer them the chance to improve English, help their children, help their community, help themselves on their jobs.
Thank you so much, Debbie, for sharing. And thank you, everybody, for giving us this opportunity to share with you. We've been so lucky to have such great partners. And like I said, at Warren Township, we believe the 4 goals would be constant communication, buy-in from all partners at all levels of both organizations, the ability to adapt and adjust, and then finding the right teacher. So I wish you all the very best of luck building out your WEIs and adding more classes. And we here at Warren Township just couldn't be more thankful for all of our business partners. So
Thank you so much, Natalie, Rob, and Debbie. We really appreciate all your good information and all the good work that you're doing with your WEIs. Debbie, I wrote down 3 things that you said that I think are just very, very important for us to remember as adult education programs and providers of services throughout the state. You said, remember, we are an invited guest at the company. Number 2, this is their house. And 3, each company has its own personality, and we need to work together to help ensure that the company reaches its own goals in addition to our own goals for our students. At Adidas, we had the opportunity, as well as the other 2 companies, to meet and chat with students. And I know at Adidas, some of the employees that are in Debbie's classes, the ELL students, some of the students have been here and have been working in our country for more than 20 years, over 2 decades. So it was truly a very a warm reception that we received at all 3 companies, and we just enjoy coming out and talking to the employers and talking to the students and teachers. So again, Warren Township, Brenda, Natalie, thank you so very much. We're going to try to go back to Gateway to Work. Elizabeth, are you on the line?
I am on the line. Can you hear me?
You bet we can. Thank you so much. We're sorry for the technical difficulties, but we're glad you're with us this morning, and we'll let you roll.
All right. Well, I just want to say I have a lot more slides than I'm going to cover in detail. I wanted to share with all of you a real kind of in-depth overview in writing, because there's a lot of misinformation about the Gateway to Work program. But again, I also want to highlight really how we can partner together, because we believe there's a huge overlap with our client and member bases. And I want to make sure that your clients and students and potentially even some partners who are participating in this program are getting credit for all the wonderful work and the hard effort that they're putting in to get their HSE or to learn English or update those basic skills so they can go on to a job training program. The Gateway to Work program is the community engagement program of the Healthy Indiana Plan. So it's run by the Office of Medicaid Policy, which is where I work, but it is not for all Medicaid recipients. That's myth number one. It's only for those people on the Healthy Indiana Plan, and for the majority of members of HIP, it is a voluntary program. We do have about 65 to 70,000 people on HIP who are required to participate, but it is open to all of our members. The goal of HIP, or the goal of Gateway to Work, is to help improve physical and mental health and the individual's overall financial stability and well-being. The key piece here is we know when people are connected with their community, be it through work. Can you still hear me?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay,
You're doing
good. We know when people are connected to their communities, be it through work, through church service, through other volunteer groups, through seeking additional education and skills, we know that they're better off, not just financially, not just wellness-wise, but even mentally, and their overall well-being is better. I like to share the story of why I came here. I've worked for the state for just shy of 10 years, and I voluntarily took this leap of faith to come to Gateway to Work, which is it's a new program. You never know what's going to happen with those new programs. And I'll be honest, it is a little controversial for some people. But the reason I really love this is I'm a workforce development person. Some of you might recognize my name from my time at DWD several years ago, where I worked with the JAG program and all of the out-of-school youth programs. I was on the task force that helped pick the new HSE test when we replaced the GED, in fact. And I started my career in workforce development in a Work One center in Wisconsin. The other reason, though, that I took this job is because my brother has a chronic illness. He has a chronic mental health issue. I'm a long-distance caregiver in the sense of we don't know when he's going to need support and when he's not. I know for me as a caregiver of someone who has some type of barrier to his employment success, his financial success, his well-being, I know that he does better when he's connected. And when he does better, I do better. My mom and dad do better. Our family is better off when my brother is connected. When people know that he doesn't go to church and they can reach out and say, hey, Mark, we missed you. I'm far away and I can't always do that. So I rely on my brother having that safety net. And that's really what brought me into Gateway to Work, is I think it's bringing together a lot more pieces to tell people who are really disconnected, we miss you. We need you, we want you here, and we're going to help you wherever you're at to improve your life, whether you want to work, whether you want to learn a new skill, whether you want to learn better English. Maybe you just want to do community service, and that's what your life is working around, is your church or your social network. That's okay, but we want you connected. So you can go ahead and go to the next slide. For our members who have to report, it is a sliding scale of hours. Now, members find out every month if they have to report. A member who has a full-time job or a job that meets more than 20 hours a week, more than 20 hours, not at 20, but more than 20 hours, members with this list of exemptions, these members don't have to report. Again, that is the majority of people in our program. Over 75% of people don't have to report their hours. Go ahead to the next slide. We also have an exemption for substance use disorder. People who are receiving those treatments, again, they still can participate, but we recognize that when you have an SUD, that's the top priority. We need to get that addressed. Go ahead to the next slide. If you have someone who says that they think they should be exempt, they're in Gateway to Work, they just need to make sure that they call their health plan. Long story short, the one message I'll keep repeating is if you get questions about Gateway to Work, call your health plan as the #1 thing to do. The health plans provide the case management and care management aspect of the program while a member is active in. So if they call OMPP, we'll just refer them over to their health plan. We only have a small team of about 5 people. So we really deal with members at a later stage if they get into suspension or have issues with their eligibility. You can go forward to the next one. So our reporting members, again, about 70,000 people are required to report. Here's where you come in. We know some things about these members. 50% of them don't have a high school diploma. Another 48% have a high school diploma but have no post-secondary education or degree. So we know by and large our members need to be connected with your services. And given what I've done in the past, I think they are. And that's why I really want to outreach with you guys and start to build some connections. I'm really worried that we have members who are participating in programs like yours. They're doing these job training programs, they're doing ESL classes, they're working towards their HSE, and they're not getting credit for it. And that's going to put them at risk of losing their insurance, and that's a devastating consequence for just not getting the dots connected. So my big push is that we get those dots connected for members. On the local level, we have some flyers we're going to send out that you can hang up that says, you know, you can earn hours if you're in Gateway to Work, and you can use our computers to report those hours. A lot of times people just need help that first time, that push to go ahead and do it. You're already participating, just log your hours in. If they are in full-time classes, sometimes they can even get an exemption as a student. It's going to depend on what they're doing specifically and how many hours, so they could call their health plan to talk about that. But again, I really think there's a lot of people sitting in your classrooms who have a Gateway to Work status that haven't reported their activities, and we want to make sure we're capturing that group. As you can see, they need to either report them online or through their health plan, and they do have to report everything from July through December. And it looks like we missed a year in that, but that's December 2019. Everyone who's in the program got credit for January to June, and now we're in this. Until September, the hour requirement is 20 hours a month. Good news, not too late to go back to July and August. If you've had students in class in July and August and they go back and report their hours, they only have to meet 2 more months of reporting this year to get credit. Once they get their credit and they're in compliance, their insurance is safe for the entire 2020 calendar year. So if you can outreach, and they put in their hours for August and September, July and September, whatever it is, and as long as they get 20 hours in each month, they don't roll from month to month, so 20 hours per month, they will get credit. Starting October 1st, the requirement will go up to 40 hours a month. In January, it goes up to 60, and then in July, it will go to 80 hours, which is our long-term plan. You can go ahead. Oh. One more slide. So we do have some assessments too. If you have a member who's really struggling, maybe they're doing some work with you, but it's not enough, or maybe they have some other barriers. They live in a rural area and are really having a hard time getting transportation. They can contact their health plan, and the health plan has 2 normed assessments that they can take that just kind of screen them for some other barriers and other assistance opportunities. Again, members can do a combination of activities. So if you have a member who's taking classes with you for 12 hours a week and working maybe 10 hours a week in a restaurant, that combination is going to give them 22 hours for September. That'd be awesome, and they just need to log that in. Qualifying activities, again, it's not a work requirement. This is a community engagement program. We know that employment is not the right place, fit, or current option for every one of our members. So we have a work, learn, and serve opportunity. Work is pretty much any type of paid employment that is legal. We have been asked, no, we cannot allow selling of illegal substances or illegal sales of things like tickets to games or cigarettes or other lottery tickets, things like that that are sold under the table. So it has to be legal work. It can be self-employment. It can also be job search activities. Community service can be formal. It can be with a group, with a church organization, a volunteer organization that has standard hours. It can be one-off opportunities where you volunteer with a group of neighbors, or it can be caregiving services for someone who needs additional care. A good example of serve and caregiving services is if you're taking a neighbor, an elderly neighbor, to the grocery store, or even going to the grocery store and getting groceries or medicine for them and bringing it back to them. Service cannot be self-oriented. That's really the only guideline. As far as our learn, it's very clear, obviously HSE, adult education, post-secondary, all of next level jobs and DWD in training programs count, and also ESL programs. So you can go ahead and go forward. This is our website. As you can see, when a member goes, they will click that button at the top right-hand corner that says log their hours. Again, if they're not computer savvy or don't have a computer always available, they can always call their health plan. Next slide. This is the benefits portal, so you can see what they need to do when they log in. They can see their summary, how many hours they've entered and how many are required for that month, and they can add, this is where they actually add the hours. They need to know the date, the number of hours, and the category they earned, and then it'll ask some other information just to kind of use as a back-end verification. We randomly will pull cases. It's not to zing a member, it's more just to make sure we're educating and outreach correctly. Okay, you can move forward to the next one. We've had a lot of communication with our members. I'm going to skip forward a couple slides. You can see a couple of the things we've sent out. By and large, our members are reporting that they know or are indicating they know if they need to report. However, they're not reporting. We need a lot more people who are in reporting status to get their hours in. They will be determined to be at risk on October 1st if they have not reported any of those monthly credits. If they don't have their safe kind of credit status in place by September 30th, they will get a notice that they're at risk of losing their insurance. It's just an at-risk thing, and when I say losing their insurance, that's not even really right. It's really a suspension. If you imagine a light switch, what will happen if someone gets suspended for 2020 is we're going to turn the switch off. When they get their activities back in line, either by reporting hours or they get an exemption reported or they report that they're working or going to school, we'll flip that switch back on, and it's literally a matter of days. So they never have to reapply. It's not a termination like some states have done. It's really just a timeout for all of us to regroup. Again, we have lots of help for our members. Our MCEs are the first source. Whoever their insurance provider is, those are Anthem, CareSource, MDWise, and MHS. If they don't know who it is, on the back of their insurance card, there's a phone number they can call, and they will be connected with the right group. They can, again, also offer help with overcoming barriers. If they need a good cause exemption, that's something that's not covered on that list from the earlier slide, but maybe they've got a special circumstance. Maybe they have a 14-year-old child that needs a lot of caregiving that wouldn't meet the caregiving exemption, but they need a lot of support. They could put in for that. And then they also can work with us. They work with us in November. We'll start outreaching with members, and really we work with the members at OMPP who have been suspended, and we work with the hospital corporations to help in cases of emergency care. But again, lots of support. These agencies, all the MCs, all have really great units. They have mostly dedicated Gateway to Work staff. They have a lot of programs and other offerings that members can call and ask about. It varies a little bit by which provider they have. Okay, you can go to the next slide. Again, we are going to offer pre-suspension support. I'm not going to go into great detail about it because we're going to have several webinars at the end of September and early October for our stakeholders to understand the at-risk intervention and outreach process. So you can go ahead. What you can do to help us, though, to help reach members. First of all, we would like you to consider registering in our system. The Gateway to Work website has a resource list for all of our members to use. So they can put in that they're looking for education programs in Jackson County, and it pulls up a list. Unfortunately, most of our providers and most of our stakeholders that are listed are large groups, so every work one is in there, but they also are largely centered around the Indianapolis area, and they do statewide service. So for those of you in smaller counties, if you could really help us get the word out, we want to make sure people have local resources. It is absolutely okay if individual adult education providers want to list their services in there. It doesn't just have to be through Work One. We want people to understand there are a lot of resources. There are a lot of options. We also, on that website, that hip.in.gov, have general program brochures. We have that poster that you can print off, and we'll also send that out as a handout to everybody through Jerry. But that's that sign that you can print off that says you can earn hours while you're here, and you can use our computers or phones to do that. Again, we're working with DWD leadership on that as well, so they have fully supported the use of adult ed and Work One resources to help people log their hours. On that note, one other thing we will be doing is we are meeting with the DWD leadership to talk about data sharing. So we are hoping we can get some cross-matching of our members and your students to really see where those matches are and help identify them and get them credit for the work they're doing. Like I said, my biggest concern is that there are people who are earning this who are going to be put in an at-risk status that shouldn't be, just because the hours didn't get reported in a timely manner. So we want to do everything we can to outreach those members and prevent that at-risk status. My contact information is on the screen. I'm also, if you're in the state directory, you can find me that way. We are in the same office area as DWD, kind of the other end of the government center building. One other perk, we are available to come out and do community presentations. So my coworker Colin was on earlier. Due to headset things, we're sharing a mic right now. But Colin is our director of community outreach, and he and I are available and willing to come talk to any local groups. We are willing to come out and share information on Gateway to Work. We can bring you county level data on how many members have to report, how many members are in HIP. And really helping kind of dig into that and really show you how you can support members depending on that. We also work closely with the health navigators around the state, but anything we can do to help, that's what we're here for. Colin's email address, so you have it, is just Colin, COLIN .woods, WOODS, and then the same ending as mine at fssa.in.gov.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. We appreciate all the slides and all the information. During your presentation, some of our adult education programs out there that are listening in had questions. In the spirit of time this morning, we would simply, since Elizabeth, you've given email addresses, your telephone number, and an email box for general questions, we'll just ask our programs to reach out directly to you to get an individual response for their questions, if that is okay.
That'd be great, because a lot of times they are very specific. Feel free to email us and we'll do what we can.
Thank you again, Colin. Thank you again, Elizabeth. We again really appreciate. And Elizabeth, if you have any information that you would like us to get out to our programs, simply forward it to me, and we will get it out to all of our adult education providers out there.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Let's move on this morning. I want to turn to some of our policies and procedures. Our intent this morning, I'm going to go through some policies that we have posted on our website and refer to some other documents that we have. But this is based upon some questions that you have asked us over the last few weeks, and we hope to provide some clarifications this morning. The first has to do with attendance logs. What do we expect to see on attendance logs? Our teacher's manual that is posted on our website refers to attendance logs as sign-in and sign-out sheets. Our policy talks about sign-in and sign-out sheets. Very simply, we expect to see on these sheets for our monitoring team actual student signatures, The minimum elements, and here's some guidance for you that might help you. The minimum elements of a sign-in, sign-out sheet that we expect to see is the name of the class, the date, the class times, a space for the actual student signature, and a space for the student to write in times when he or she entered and left the class. A question that we've gotten, what happens if the student by chance happens not to sign in or doesn't put in the time that they entered or the time that they leave? What should your teachers do? I would recommend that the teacher write in the student's signature and or the times he or she entered or left class. By that name, by that time that the teacher's put in, the teacher needs simply to initial and date. Now, this should only occur on very rare occasions. It happens, we all realize that, but we need to get our students accustomed to signing in with their actual student signature, putting the time that they arrive, and putting the time that they leave. That will provide, I think, some of the best documentation for you should there ever be questions about the time that has been entered into enters. Let's turn to program income. Local adult education programs may charge fees to students, may charge fees, you don't have to, but providers may not charge tuition for instruction. Local providers charging fees to participants must use the generated program income for allowable costs. So the fees that you have collected then must be reinvested back into the adult education program. And those fees that you are collecting must be for allowable activities. A technology fee, books, materials to be used in the adult education program, software for the students to use in the adult education program would be allowable costs. Allowable costs are anything that you would use your funding, your adult education, state or federal funding that is approved. So allowable costs, that is key. Including expanding available resources for adult ed, workplace literacy, it can be for ELL, and adult basic and secondary education. Second part of that, allowable cost. Fees established by local programs must be necessary and reasonable and may not impose a barrier to the participation of disadvantaged persons, in other words, students who could not afford to pay the fee in the adult education program. Allowable costs and fees established by local programs must be necessary and reasonable and not impose a barrier to the participation of the learner. Programs choosing to charge fees, as I said a few seconds ago, must reinvest the funds in the adult education program before requesting additional money. Additionally, all income from fees must be spent during the same program year that it was collected. DWD requires programs to report fees and how these fees were reinvested. Any fees charged may not be applied toward MOE, maintenance of effort requirements. Program income. Also, DWD requires programs that charge fees to establish a fee policy that addresses fee requirements and exceptions, contains a schedule for fee payments, and creates standards that address how fees will not impose barriers to the students. Programs must also disclose any associated fees to students prior to orientation. One way to ensure that a local program does not impose a barrier to a student who cannot pay for that book fee or that technology fee or for that software fee is to provide a waiver for that student who comes to the program and says, I simply don't have the money for that particular fee. Other programs across the state use money from other sources other than adult education, state or federal funds to pay the fee for the student in case the student is unable to pay for the book, to pay for the technology fee. Last, let's turn to distance education. We have stressed during several statewide webinars the benefits to increasing the amount of distance education for our students. The data, as Nancy has shown in many slides, higher measurable skill gains when distance education is utilized. We've been asked what kind of documentation is required as proof or evidence for distance education, particularly when you are reporting proxy hours. My recommendation and our recommendation is to retain a representative sample of student work, such as homework packets completed through distance education. However, it is not necessary to retain every assignment the student completes. Retain a representative sample. If you are using logs to track your distance education, ensure there is sufficient detail entered on the distance learning log to outline specifically the assignment that was completed. Include dates and times, the proxy hours on the log. Also, I would recommend a space for the teacher and the student to sign on the log to provide additional documentation. On the screen is the link to the distance education policy that was approved by the U.S. Department of Education for use in Indiana. And yes, every state must have its distance education and its assessment policy approved each year through USDOE. This policy reflects nearly exactly the guidance that the USDOE put out several years ago for states to follow. So those are three policies and some additional guidance for you. This morning we have Nancy here, and she is going to reintroduce what Marilyn covered earlier in the last webinar, the mid-year incentive. Nancy?
Good morning, everyone. We have two mid-year incentives that we are rolling out this year. The first one is that grantees will receive a mid-year performance incentive for those programs achieving 50% on the NRS Table 4, Column I by December 31st, 2019. Grantees will receive a mid-year performance incentive for 15% of adult basic education enrollees attaining an HSE on NRS Table 4, Column E by December 31st, 2019. HSE obtainment for ELL students are not included in this incentive because there are few numbers of ELL students receiving HSEs. There were only 11 ELL students in program year 2018-2019 that earned HSEs. Meanwhile, there are currently 5 grantees with subgrantees. Grantees will decide how the mid-year incentive is shared and distributed with their subgrantees. So just to recap, there are 2 different incentives. Your programs can qualify for one and or both incentives, and the incentives will be awarded to the grantee to disperse. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nancy. Dan is here this morning to go over some changes in allowable testing times for TABE 11 and 12. These new testing times were approved by the National Reporting System for all states back in July, a couple of months ago. So Dan's going to go through the new testing times for you.
Thank you, Jerry, for giving me the exciting topic of TABE testing. It's all near and dear to our hearts. Many of you should already have this information. It was sent out, and as you can see, we'll just go real quickly to review. If you look on the slide, you'll see it with math. If you're level E, it's 65 minutes. And we have the breakdown of levels M, D, and A, 55, 10, 35, 30, 30, 35. We were excited to get these because we know in the very beginning the test times were extremely long, and our students were getting finished much quicker. Now the next slide, we'll look at the reading level, and this is the same across the board, parts 1 and 2, 50 minutes each. And then the next slide, on the language level, straight across the board, 55 minutes. On the locator, reading 35 minutes, language 20 minutes, and math, both parts are 10 minutes long. And that's it for tape.
Thank you, Dan. We're not going to go into the detail that we usually do with our performance, but I did want to touch upon that this morning. When NRS Table 4 was run Monday for our current program year that began on July 1st, the statewide measurable skill gain was almost 29%. So far this year, there are about 8,000 students already enrolled, with about 450 students already receiving an HSC. At this point, and Nancy has pointed out in some of her emails, we are already off to a fast start with enrollments, HSCs, and measurable skill gains compared to a year ago. Let's back up just a little bit to program year 2018-2019. We are just about ready to submit the final data to USDOE. That is due on or before October 1st. And when I ran NRS Table 4 on Monday for program year 2018-2019, the statewide measurable skill gains was so close to 67%. On Monday, the actual percentage was 66.97%. This morning, when I ran Table 4 for the same program year, it is 66.99%. Can we not get to 67? Woo! Nancy has gone over some of this, but I think it's very important, particularly for you to go back and do some comparisons with your programs. But here are some very quick highlights for 2018-2019 compared to the previous program year, 2017-2018. We will be watching very closely as other states submit their data by October 1st to see where we stand. Our enrollment is down, as we have indicated in previous webinars, by about 1,500 students. The good news is that MSG's, measurable skill gains statewide, rose by more than 3 percentage points. As I said, almost to 67%. And as we have indicated, this is quite an accomplishment. And I really kudos go to you and your teachers because of the new tape test that we had last year, Table 11 and 12, that Dan talked about a few minutes ago. Also, I have to say I'm really proud of the decrease in the separation rate. In 2017-2018, the separation rate on Table 4 was 32%. 32%. Almost 1/3 of our students left the program without any success, any measurable skill gain success. Last year, 2018-2019, the rate was cut by more than 4.5 percentage points to 27%. That is a heck of an accomplishment, and congratulations. Our HSCs, on the other hand, have decreased by 135 from the previous year, and I would say this is pretty darn good, given that our enrollment has decreased by about 1,600 students. I asked Melinda, as we tick down closer to that October 1st deadline with USDOE, to run the task dashboard. This includes not only the students who studied in your program, but any walk-ins to our test centers across the state of Indiana. The number of HSCs diplomas, including those walk-ins, as I mentioned, for program year 2018-2019 was 5,371. Move your eyes over to the minus 98. When walk-ins are included, the state was only down 98 HSCs from the previous program year. Pretty good. Nancy covered this in the last webinar, but again, I think it's very important. While we may be down very slightly on HSCs, look what you did. The pass rate for last program year increased 2 percentage points from 2017 to 2018. And on the far right there, you see the pass rates that we shared in the last webinar with you. And again, not surprising, math continues to be the subject with the lowest passing score. Donna is here this morning. Marilyn covered the employer reimbursement grant, and Donna has some updates on that she would like to share very quickly with you this morning.
Hello, everyone. So let's talk about employer reimbursement grants. Funds are available for partnerships between employers and educational organizations, assisting employees in earning their high school equivalency diploma or acquire English language skills through ELL. Each employer education partnership can be reimbursed up to $1,000 for approved expenses per participant once they show that the employee has earned their HSE diploma or achieved 2 ELL level gains. Approved expenses not already covered by Workforce Education Initiative funding may be reimbursed up to $1,000 per participant for the following: teacher salaries, curriculum and instructional materials, HSE testing fees, administrative costs up to 10%. Partnerships that are already receiving Workforce Education Initiative funds must use those funds before requesting ERG reimbursement. We have emailed the applications to the statewide call list on September 6th, and we will post an FAQ along with the application to the adult education website. At this time, we're asking everyone to send their ERG questions to the adult ed mailbox. Please don't send them to individual staff members as they may not make it onto the FAQ. Now, turning to grant news, as of Monday, September 9th, we had 15 fully executed grant contracts, 12 ABE and 3 IELCE. The others are in different stages of the contract process. Most have been signed and are awaiting final approval. This means that we can send out your reimbursement and backup forms this week. Remember, you must have a fully executed contract before you can request reimbursement. So we're asking that you send confirmation that your contract has been finalized when you submit your first reimbursement request. Next, let's hear from our professional development team.
Nancy, do you want to sit there? Yes, we're all just fighting each other to come up here. We have our next meetings with our PDFs. It's going to be December 6th at the Shepherd Community Center, and then we'll have our final one in February 21st at Ivy Tech, where the PDFs met over by Lawrence campus last August. That's it.
Okay, thank you very much, Dan and the professional development team. Roy is here this morning, and he has some updates on the Workforce Initiative.
Thank you,
Roy?
Thank you, Jerry. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank everybody for their hard work on getting WEI applications submitted and getting those employer relationships going. Last year, we finished out with about 83 approved WEI applications, and right now we're sitting at about 51. So everybody is working really hard, and I want to thank all of you for your hard work. Also, if you have time, I would like you to go to the IAAC website and enter in your information on the IET or WEI information. We are trying to create a resource for everyone to go to where they can look at curriculums and other kind of information like that. So take your time and go check it out. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Roy. Bryn is here to go over IETs. Again, talk about the Workforce Education Initiative and some Work Indiana updates. Bryn?
All right, thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it. As you can see on the screen, for IETs, Integrated Education and Training, 11 IELC certifications and 219 IET certifications. The IET enrollment currently 3,076. IELC enrollment 93, still enrolled 618, dropped 398. Completions are 2,060, and certifications are 1,562. Workforce Education Initiative, 178 WEI certifications, got 2 pending. And then for the enrollments, we have 1,169. For the Work Indiana, as you can see on the right-hand side, the enrollment, 1,800, still enrolled. The completers, completion rate, I'm not going to go through all, but as you can see, you can see the numbers. If you have any questions whatsoever, you can contact me by phone or by email is probably the best. That's where I can check everything. Regarding the IET submissions, I know that some people are rolling some IETs over still, and you don't have the approval numbers. Totally fine. If you do not have the approval numbers from last year that you're rolling over, please submit, when you submit your spreadsheet to your AEC, go ahead and submit the application for me as well. And that way I can get those rolled over instead of waiting and then not having that done. If you have any questions whatsoever, again, please email me or call me. Thanks for your hard work. We appreciate it, and keep it up.
Again, thank you very much, Bryn. To move on, obviously Matt and Bryn are here for the interest updates, and I think Matt is going to be the spokesperson. Matt?
Good morning, everybody. Real quick, just some hot takes right here. September 16th is your final day to do anything with any of your data for 1819. You are not done. We are taking the snapshots on September 18th so that we can get the data submitted for the October 1st deadline. So after the 18th, roughly around 19th or 20th, you will be able to run your Table 4 snapshot for your program. That's what's going to be locked in for your report for 1819. Once that's done, nothing else is going to count, nothing else is going to change. We've sent out emails on trying to get some of the other errors cleaned up over the last several months, and it's to the point where if you haven't done it, they're either going to count against you or not count at all. So, training, we're still trying to find a place and get some dates for training. We will get that out for you as soon as we can. So just as a recap, the snapshots will be done on September 18th. So that's a Friday. Probably on Monday following that, you'll be able to run your snapshot for 1819 on all your reports. And they'll run quick. They'll be locked in. If you see any issues with those, like something doesn't match, let us know. We've been looking at them really close here at State. Everything should be good with how the numbers are calculating. All of the gains should be there. So all of that. But that's all I have. There's our contact information. If you need any assistance, still use Bomgar. And thanks. Have a great day.
One thing that Matt did not mention, tomorrow with Bomgar, you probably will not get anybody for ABE. Tomorrow we will be out of the office for a team retreat tomorrow. So if you remote in or try to remote in and you do not see me or Matt on there, that means we will not be on for the day. So we will be back on Friday.
Thank you, Matt and Bryn. Well, we've come to our friends at IAACE. Jen is on the line for IAACE notes. Jen?
Good morning, everyone. IAACE is looking for your stories for representation at COABE's Capitol Hill Day on September 24th. We are also looking for stories for the AEFL week, which is September 22nd through the 28th. You can send those stories directly to me at director@IAACE.com. Next up, did you get the last IAACE newsletter? We have an update on the website that allows you to sign up for the committees directly. It'll give you the little sign-in link and you simply click. There's a description and the chair is listed for each committee. Employer engagement is already doing some wonderful things, as you heard earlier mentioned. So I encourage you to go and check out the news spot on the website. And then in conference news, as you know, Back to the Future is our theme. You have 2 days left in order to do the logo challenge. It is due on Thursday, which actually I guess that's today and tomorrow. I'll take them all the way until the end of the day, just so long as I have them for Friday morning's meeting. We have a couple submissions already, so it's looking good. I encourage you to submit your logo ideas at the email as well. Next step, just wanted to remind you of some professional development opportunities that are going on. The Pro Literacy Conference later this month, AAACE in St. Louis, really close. The CoWave Virtual Conference later in October, and the Families Learning Conference in November. You can find all of those on our website at the website there shown, calendar of events. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you so much, Jen. We appreciate all the updates and everything that IAACE has done for adult education and will continue to do so. Well, it's been a long morning. We had some technical difficulties. I appreciate your patience as always. Thank you for joining us this morning. Our next statewide webinar will be, hard to believe, we're already to October 9th at 10 a.m. In the meantime, please have a great morning and afternoon. Thank you so much.